But let's please into your, I put it up there for you, the establishment coup.
All right. So the real coup, and that's what I was trying to get at when Whitney Webb was talking, was that the establishment is pushing a coup against us. It's the establishment in general. It's not a left-right thing. It is a top-down thing that's actually happening. And we need to stop this fear-mongering about Donald Trump and the elections, because I'm just so sick and tired of people saying, well, Donald Trump is not going to leave. Donald Trump is going to, he's pushing this coup. So I wanted to kind of push back on what Walker Bragman. Walker Bragman.
Who names their kid Walker?
Walker Bragman said, I voted for Biden in the general to barely get rid of the guy currently trying to subvert the popular vote and pull off a coup via state legislatures. I think that was a good decision. But yeah, Biden is exactly who the left said he would be, and that's on his primary backers. Okay, so I'm going to push back on the fact that you voted for Biden because you thought it would be better, because it's not better. And we need to get off of that mentality that voting for a Democrat is better just because they're a Democrat, or because you've followed the mainstream media narrative that they're so much better. They're essentially the same thing, except one is waving a rainbow flag and the other one isn't. But that's, other than that, they're essentially the same thing. And the Democratic Party spent 4 years trying to impeach Donald Trump, and they did impeach him, but trying to oust him off via a coup with Russiagate, right? Mm-hmm. And asking for this recount, doing an audit, and looking into our election systems is not a coup. It's any candidate's right. Candidates here do it as well. And it doesn't matter how you feel about Donald Trump. That's his right. I don't care. That's his right. And the real coup is the security state, Silicon Valley, and corporations against we the people.
Yeah,
so
that's what Whitney said.
That's what, and it's just like, I hate it when people fearmonger and are using this whole thing, and it's progressives. I mean, Walker is considered a progressive by a lot of people. Cenk is considered a progressive by a lot of people. A lot of these people who are considered left progressives are pushing these mainstream media neoliberal narratives that you literally do hear on CNN. And to me, that is so detrimental, because we're putting fear and emotion onto people, and we're pushing people to react based on those low level, wavelengths. So Joe Biden,
yes,
this is the thing that pissed me off the most.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Joe Biden said, here's the deal, because President Trump refuses to concede and is delaying the transition. We have to fund it ourselves and need your help. If you're able, chip in and help the Biden-Harris transition. Are you serious? You can't ask your billionaire lobbyists, your millionaire lobbyists, your NSA, your CIA, your Silicon Valley people to fund you? It wasn't enough that they manipulated all the mainstream media, that they manipulated all of the big social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook, and that they took down the New York Post, that they made journalists have to resign from The Intercept because they were protecting Joe Biden. Now it's not enough that he has millions of dollars left. He still has a lot of money left. It's not enough. No, you have to ask the people in the middle of a fucking pandemic when you've given them $1,200.
Nothing.
And that's it. Yeah. And they just still don't have health care.
Yeah.
We're the only country that's not receiving a monthly UBI. If I show you right now how much Australia, Canada, all these countries, even in Eastern Europe, are giving their people, and we're getting absolutely nothing, and you have the fucking audacity to ask for money from people who can't even pay their rent, who can't feed their families, who are losing their jobs. And now Gavin Newsom is closing down restaurants yet again.
Outdoor restaurants.
How dare do you have the fucking capacity to ask people for money, you piece of shit? I'm just so done. And how are you going to tell me, progressives, that this is any better than Donald Trump? In what world do you live in? What little fucking rose-colored glasses do you have on that this is somehow better? Look what's going on. This is disgusting. I am so angry that this even happened, and that people aren't outraged, and that people like Walker are making this, I voted for Biden just to pat yourself on the back, right? Oh, because I thought it was a good decision. I still think it was a good decision. But yes, he is who he said he was. Yeah. Well, no shit.
It was just his vote was one time. By the way, that's a fee rant. There's a Fear-mongering clip that went up. It was just one big virtue signal. That's all it was, a vote for Biden. Really, you weren't changing anything.
It's a virtue signal.
It was a big, giant virtue signaling. You thought you were doing something good. We argued this left and right. I've had debates with people. Oh, we're mitigating damage. If you're mitigating damage, you're not going to let the establishment take back over. You're not going to move back the progressive movement another 10 fucking years. And that's exactly what you did. And all I can do is I can't stop hearing Malcolm X yelling in my over my shoulder going, chumps! Y'all are a bunch of chumps. And this shows you right here. He's asking you for money in the middle of the pandemic while you got no jobs, on lockdown at home, no UBI, one check in over 9 months. You're a chump.
Chip in now.
Chump. Yeah, I mean, seriously, he's asking for money.
That is the greatest grift right here. For all those of you who like to throw out that word, grifter, there's your fucking grifter. There's Joe Biden. The Democratic Party are the biggest grifters, and you fell for their grift. If you voted for them, you are chumps, like Malcolm X said.
Chump, because you're a chump.
And of course, you know, the Democratic Party, the establishment on both ends, of course, in general, uses the media to manipulate and divide and polarize people. So there's this, I wanted to bring this up right here. And Brian McDonald said, if you've ever wondered why most US, UK media coverage of Russia is garbage, take a look at this job advertisement from the New York Times. It's pretty clear that any applicants who would like to cover Russia objectively and fairly won't be considered. And here, and that's partially why things are the way they are. So look at the job application. I mean, I'm totally applying. Job description: Vladimir Putin's Russia remains one of the biggest stories in the world. It sends out hit squads armed with nerve agents against its enemies. Most recently, the opposition leader, Alexei Navalny. It has its cyber agents sow chaos and disharmony in the West to tarnish its democratic systems while promoting its faux version of democracy. It has deployed private military contractors around the globe to secretly spread its influence. At home, its hospitals are filling up fast with COVID patients as its president hides out in his villa. Isn't that what's happening here? Not Russia? If that sounds like a place you want to cover, then we have good news. We will have an opening for a new correspondent as Andy Higgins takes over our next Eastern Europe bureau chief early next year. We are eager to hear from those interested in taking on one of the most legendary postings at the Times, a seat occupied by the likes of Bill Keller, Serge Schmiemann, Hedrick Smith, Clifford Levy, and Ellen Barry. We are looking for someone who will embrace the prospect of traversing 11 time zones to track a populace that is growing increasingly frustrated with an economy dragged down by corruption, cronyism, and excessive reliance on natural resources. What? This posting offers a chance to chronicle the continuing reign of one of the world's most charismatic leaders, President Vladimir V. Putin. This beat also covers the incredible diversity and variety of the lands of the former Soviet Union. The correspondent can range from Estonia, with its close ties to Scandinavia, to Kyrgyzstan, which has close ties to China. Not to mention, Putin ushered in changes to the constitution, so he will likely stay in power for many years to come. This is the what they start with when they're trying to put out a job advertisement for a correspondent in Russia. This is the kind of neo-McCarthyism that these people use. And this is the New York Times. The New York Times, aren't they one of the reliable resources for the elections? Aren't they one of the reliable resources for people to look at on foreign policy? Aren't they the best news source with wonderful journalism? This isn't journalism, you guys. That's a propaganda. That's propaganda. And the people they hire have to agree to spread that propaganda or they will never be hired.
Yep.
It is disgusting.
They were talking about the description of what you have to do in the job description. If you're not of that mentality, you can't work and get that job. And fam, I don't think you're allowed to have that job, being that you're an ex-girlfriend of Vladimir Putin. They will not allow you to have the job.
Who said X?
X? Oh, wait.
We're still together.
You're still talking
Jesus
here and there?
Christ,
I gotcha. AOC, you have this Twitter up here. This is the co-option of the progressive movement. You know, and I just want to point out real quick before you go on this one, fam, that it is still, whether you believe that Biden won this fairly or not, we should still be talking about the framework of these elections and areas where they are vulnerable and areas where we need to fix them. The fact that you're just trying to sweep it under the rug and move on is disgusting, and it starts with the squad. Because, you know, I saw a lot of people when it came to, like, you know, on the floor of the Senate, when it came to the floor of the House, that I said, well, this is what the squad needs to be doing. These are the angles they need to be taking, but it's obvious to me that they're part of the co-option of the movement, or they've buckled down and they've given up So I would never even trust these people ever again. So
yeah, let's just hear what she has to say. She basically said, we're going to organize and demand that Joe Biden, the administration, which I believe is decent and kind and honorable, keep their promise. Okay,
decent
so
and
yeah,
kind.
let's just hear what she says.
This is just ridiculous.
We have worked with the Biden administration to secure commitment on a $2 trillion climate plan. $2 trillion. But we're not going to stop there. We're not going to stop with a piece of paper. That's not what's going to happen. We're not going to forget about that agreement for the sake of an election, are we? No. What we're going to do is that we're going to organize and demand that this administration, which I believe is decent and kind and honorable, keep their promise. So that's what our next move is to make sure that the Biden administration keeps its promise, kept its promise to young people, kept its promise to the movement for Black Lives, kept its promise to communities and working class people across the United States of America. That's our message today, to keep your promise. And so we know that we don't just make that demand and walk away. We have to organize for it. We have to bring the heat for it, because there's a whole lot of people that tried to just shove a bunch of money before this election to try to buy their seat at the table. But we organized for ours, and we're not easily going to let that go. So our demand here is to make sure that we keep this promise, that we follow through on a visionary, absolutely unprecedented $2 trillion plan that's not just about money, but also is one of the first presidential plans to honor the treaty rights of Native people. They're one of the first rights to make sure that we have environmental justice front and center. So that we make sure that we make up for redlining, that we make up for Flint, that we make up for Baltimore, that we make up for lead in the pipes across this country. So that's what this movement is all about. I want to thank you. And I don't want anybody here to think that we're not winning. Because let me tell you something, we're winning.
No, you're not.
It's working.
No, you're
it's
not.
happening. And we are going to secure a future. We're going to secure the basic tenets of a Green New Deal, a multi-trillion-dollar jobs program for climate, for environmental, racial, gender, and class justice. That's what the Green New Deal is, and we will stick to that plan. So thank you all so very much.
Okay, so if you're hearing this and you don't know anything about anything, yeah, it's going to sound, oh, look, she's saying she's going to push on Biden and they're going to fight and they're going to get this done. The reality is, if you notice, a lot of the things she said, although they sound good, they're not specific. They're not detailed. She repeated the amount of money a lot of times because, oh, we got this huge sum of money. But what is going to be allowed to happen, AOC, with that sum of money is not a Green New Deal or anything that actually resembles the truth, because Joe Biden is owned by lobbyists of you know, these oil. He's owned by these people that have these interests that's who he responds to. There is no way he's going to respond to what people have said. He has said how many times that he's not going to ban fracking. He has said he would veto Medicare for all. He has said he's not going to push anything like the Green New Deal. Why are you, instead of telling the people, the Joe Biden administration has not committed to anything that we want. So
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to need to protest. Meet me here Wednesday at 6 p.m. We will go and we will demand that Joe Biden hear and adapt the things that we need right now, especially during a COVID crisis. These are the things we need. Blah, 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 blah. That's what needs to be done. Not platitudes. It sounds so good. This is what we're going to do. We're going to fight. Yay, yay. Let's all feel good. But there's nothing there saying that this is what is actually going to happen. You're giving people false hope when they need actual tangible actions.
Yeah, and it's all about policy, right, fam? What policy are we going to get out of this right now? And
There's no policy.
It's virtue signaling once again. It's making people feel good, people who just don't look at the nuance of the situation.
Right.
If Joe Biden was going to do anything for the progressives, he would have already started appointing people that are progressively friendly with their policies, a Green New Deal, whatnot. Instead, he's hiring big tech people, warmongers, the same people for the foreign policy for Obama or Biden, and I like to call it not. He's putting them back into place. So you've been duped. And to me personally, fam, I think that this type of language, this type of kind of sheep herding of sorts, I think it is more dangerous than ever before because you're not getting anything from it. Yet AOC is making you feel like they're holding ground and they're putting their stake in the ground. They're not doing anything. They're allowing Joe Biden to do whatever he wants, and then they're turning around and asking you for money.
She's talking also about like Flint and stuff. The guy, Joe Biden, just hired the freaking asbestos lobbyist, for crying out loud. You think these people are going to really care about the drinking water when they privatize these industries? They kept money from cancer patients. You think these people are really, who jacked up the price of insulin, are really going to let this happen, AOC? How are you going to fight when you have no power and you've given them all your power and you're not using the power of the people? You have it. I don't understand. This is just, it's really
I just want to say one last thing before you get to this next tweet real quick, too. When you talked about the lead in the pipes, Biden bragged about the endorsement from Schneider and the Lincoln Project, and that was the governor who was in charge of when the water went bad and he switched the water source in Flint and poisoned those people. He openly bragged about that endorsement. I'm sorry, fam.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, it's like, it's ludicrous to think that these people are going to do anything for us. And
real quick. Underneath that tweet, there was like more tweets, and it has Joe Biden's tweet. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide but unify. It's all these like neoliberal tweets like underneath that that AOC video. So here's Sarah Cooper's like, if Twitter can slap a warning on Trump's tweet, they can turn off the retweet button on them. If you know it's false, why do you continue?
Wow, more censorship.
Who is she, by the way? Do you guys know who she is?
No.
I guess she's a comedy person. Buttigieg is like, the president-elect should receive intelligence briefings, not just a courtesy, but as a matter of national security.
Right.
There's some spook shit. Dan Rather's like, as names of Biden's cabinet choices start leaking out, it seems his approach to staff and his administration will be a tad different from his predecessors. Experience and proven competence instead of nepotism and sycophancy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, when these powerful elitists people are saying that Joe Biden's hiring great people, that tells you that that tells you to be very scared of who he's hiring. And all you have to do is a quick Google search to know that all the people he's hiring are absolutely disgusting. But use DuckDuckGo instead.
Eric Schmidt, right? Alphabet, please.
Yeah, Alphabet, exactly. And another thing that they're doing, and you kind of noticed it too with AOC, is that they're putting this whole spin on this, we have the most intersectional, unprecedented, diverse LGBTQ administration. Sure, have an intersectional fascism. That's what we have right now. And this is Caitlin Johnstone really laying it out. There's never been a better time to be a woman, minority, or a member of the LGBT community who works in the DC establishment and loves dropping cluster munitions on children.
Yes.
I mean, hey, if you're a woman of color and part of the LGBT community and you want to drop bombs on kids, now is the time for your career. Please step up to the plate because you're winning. That is the fucking brainwashing. All this does, you guys, is play into the right, hating these people, hating like actual, ignoring actual issues that are happening race-wise, ignoring actual issues that are happening when it comes to discrimination of trans people or LGBT people, because you're making a mockery out of it by saying that just because of their identities now, the bombs being dropped are going to feel any different on the countries we invade. That is how stupid it sounds, and that's how you polarize and drive people away from caring about these real issues, because you make them light. You dismiss them. You dismiss actual issues regarding people of color when you put the label and the stamp and lead with identity politics that's empty, and when you dismiss war and foreign policy just because a woman of color is now going to be dropping bombs on people. I mean, we had Gina Haspel. Like, okay, so what? So that's supposed to make me feel good that she was a woman?
Bloody Gina.
Yeah, it's
Bloody
disgusting.
Gina.
And look,
and they started the Republicans, Democrats, the dropping the bombs. It's so true, because I mean, and we saw this when Bernie Sanders announced his run.
Yeah,
we saw somebody in particular, not mentioning any names. Oh, Fayez Shakur is the first Pakistani American to be the leader of a head of a campaign, and this is the most diverse whatnot. It doesn't make a difference if their ideology is pro-war, pro-censorship, doesn't care about our elections, doesn't care about the working class, is just going to virtue signal all the time, go out there, really not hold their own party's feet to the fire when it comes to policy. We say this all the time. It's not about the Democrats and the Republicans stopping the Democrats. It's about the Democrats stopping the Democrats. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. She can bring bills to the floor if she wants to and let the Republicans vote it down and send it over to the Senate if she wanted to. She won't put Ilhan Omar's bill on the floor. Well, Ilhan Omar ever call her out about the
No.
rent forgiveness? No. So what are we doing right now? December is right in our rear view mirror, not our rear view mirror, right in front of us. We're driving into December. We have no solution when it comes to rents. We don't know what we're going to do. All the small moratoriums are just about to expire, and there's no way out of this thing. Business is not going to be business as usual, and they've done nothing. So if they wanted to do something, they would put a bill on the floor and let the Republicans shoot it down. But they're not doing that.
They're not. They're not doing anything. And so what we're seeing is a focus. Let's focus on the fact that Kamala Harris is the first woman of color VP. Blah blah blah. So we don't focus on her fucking record.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a distraction, and it's not like I would love to see more women in politics, but for the right reasons.
The right
not
women.
because
Yeah.
not because they're just gonna drop bombs or continue the status quo establishment narrative. Like, that doesn't make me happy. That doesn't cheer. It doesn't make people abroad who we attack and who we sanction and who we bomb any happier. It's just like Elizabeth Warren's green bombs. That's definitely gonna make people feel a lot better. And it's just it's disgusting. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, well, you hit it on the nose. And I mean, we said this was like, listen, I'm sorry. You say more women. I didn't want Sarah Palin getting in the White House. I just didn't want it happening. So it's all about the person's ideology, their politics, before their identity. And I think that's the most important thing. It's not that we don't want more diverse people out there.
We do.
If
but
there's
for
a
the
diverse
right
choice
reasons.
for the right reasons, the ideology and the policy positions is what matters most, because the policy positions are going to determine the bread and butter things we get. You know what I'm saying? Will we get this or we won't get that? It's on the table bullshit, and that's what we need. We don't need the virtue signaling that you better promise us that you're going to do this just in thought, just to get out there and go rah rah rah. We want policy on paper that's going to affect our lives and help.
They can
the working
promise
class.
you the world, but that doesn't mean they're going to give it to you. And the reason I go after, and a lot of people have asked me this, and I might do a rant at some point, but the reason I go after Democrats, that we go after Democrats more, and we point out progressives more, faltering than Republicans, is because I don't have to tell you how bad Republicans are. They tell you how bad they are. They tell you flat out where
They're
fall.
honest about their ideology.
I don't have to go. I will criticize. We have on the show multiple times criticized the right when it's something that people may not know, when it's something, okay, like this is what they're doing. They're flat out lying and they're doing this.
Yeah.
But the danger in act is really here on the left, because these are the people that are keeping us from actually fighting the ideology of the Republican Party, when we have to fight the Democratic Party too. And then when we have progressives that are supposed to go in there and fight the Democratic Party, they're not doing that. So I have to point out, look, this is like what they're not doing. They're taking any ammunition away from what could be used of working together. That's not happening. So I have to call it out, because that's the more dangerous enemy, the one pretending to be your friend and pretending to hurt you. So that's why.
And when we started the show, it was after 2016. The whole thought process is we're going to cover the Democratic Party. We're going to watch the reformation of the Democratic Party. We're going to see progressives take it over, move their ideology that way. But it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? And so, I counted on the left to reform, to be more like my ideology, you know what I'm saying, to represent me. But it didn't happen that way. Instead, they co-opted, they changed, and they've actually gotten progressives to vote against their own interest and to push policies and ignore ideas. Like when it comes to our civil liberties and right now the election integrity, they've got them duped. So it's quite scary. Talk about, fam, something to dupe people.
So just, again, the other part of this is the mainstream media. This is part of the coup against the American people. This is a tool that they're using to get people to believe in propaganda narratives and pretty much regurgitate. I know when somebody watches mainstream media because they regurgitate everything that the CNN and MSNBC says. It's the same. I can tell. It's the same exact talking point. And it's really scary to see people who I thought were progressive start regurgitating these same media talking points just because they hate Trump so much. Let's just look at this video, because this is a really eye-opening video that you've probably seen.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Could we have gotten one in there? We should have put ourselves in there. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. I mean, it's funny because they're all talking about fake news and blah, blah, blah. They're the fake news. Sure, a lot of people put out things there that are completely false. But when these people try to push leftist, independent truth as fake news, that's why they're doing that, because they're like, it goes against their narrative and they want to psyop you and get you to believe that the real truth is fake news and the fake news is the truth, and that's what they're doing. And that's part of this whole thing, this coup against the American people. They're using the media, they're using the faux progressive movement, they're using the NSA, the CIA, the manipulation of the Silicon Valley executives, and Joe Biden's presidency of ousting the horrible orange man bad, and then coming in with all of this pro-war, pro-big tech, all this money behind him, supported by those people, in the middle of a pandemic, etc. That is the real coup we're talking about, not the fear-mongering coup that they're saying Trump is trying to push a coup, blah, blah, blah. That's not reality. That is a story they're spinning to get you to be scared and to get you to rely more on the establishment. And that's the real story here.